Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Sights on Sinnoh, the Diamond and Pearl anime podcast, as we venture forth towards the release of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl coming out later this year. And with me today is Carina, and we have exciting news to share with you. At the time of this recording, we now have more information on not just Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, but also Legends of Arceus and when that game is coming out finally.
Very exciting. I feel like we've been waiting for this announcement since they first announced the games. And yeah, I do not know when they are coming out. So please enlighten me, Will.
Yeah, so it looks like November 19th, 2021 is when we'll get Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And then Legends of Arceus, which I believe is the correct pronunciation, comes out just 2 months later, January 28th of 2022.
I was expecting like March, maybe like March, April 2022. So
Same, yeah.
wow.
It's very close. And I don't know how to feel about that. To me, it seems like that means they might be linked. Because
Do you
they're
think
both
even though
games?
they're being made by different companies?
I feel like there will be something maybe connected between them. Yeah, because to have two Pokemon games so close seems very odd. Like either that or they think that one is going to appeal to a totally different audience, so they're fine having them so close together where they might even compete with each other.
I don't really know what to think. I feel like we know so little about Legends, especially that it's kind of hard to speculate about what might be going on behind the scenes there.
Yeah, we only have box art really for this, so there's nothing there really to give us more information today. Um, but yeah, in case you were listening in, this will kind of date this recording a bit. But overall, I'm excited. The art looks great. I think the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl box art in particular is an improvement over Sword and Shield, which were kind of just like legendary Pokemon and then white background.
Sure. Again, have not really looked into any of this news since it was
Okay, okay.
announced this morning, but I think I did see like maybe Joe Sarabi or somebody tweeted like Dialga's detail on the art that looked
Oh,
very detailed, I guess. But yeah,
yeah,
general consensus seems to be that it's looking real good.
definitely, yeah. But yeah, to kind of go back to this episode of Sight on Sinnoh's focus, we're actually going to be diving into the second part of a four-part gym battle, basically. So get get your butts ready for this because this is a lot. I did not remember when it was first going back to check out these episodes that this first gym battle took place over 4 different episodes, and not like maybe that can be construed as it's one single battle. It's not, but the whole arc of it is kind of spread across these consecutive episodes, which I think is pretty cool, actually.
For sure. So for the listeners, I watched all of these episodes. I watched like the last 8 episodes or whenever my last episode on the podcast was with Will and with JM. And I didn't mean to sit down and watch all of them at once, but it just like, it was all just like building on each other. And this arc really did feel like kind of an extended episode. So
Yes.
we wrapped up like episode 18 and I was like ready to keep going. And JM was like, no, you're done. You can stop now.
It's over. You're good. You're clear for your break.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is episode 17 and episode 18 of the Diamond and Pearl series, with episode 17 titled "Wild in the Streets." And the blurb reads: Continuing to recover from his Oreburgh City gym battle loss, Ash gets in plenty of training with Turtwig, Pikachu, and Apom. Dawn tries to convince Ash to send home for Pokemon that are strong against rock types, but Ash is persistent on using the ones he currently has. Brock lends Ash Sudowoodo to train against, and its rocket ability is immune to such moves such as Double Edge. Now, I think we were there watching episode 16 together, the one right before this. How did you feel about the way that this episode started as a follow-up to that? Because that one ended in the defeat of Ash at the gym, and you just saw him there holding Pikachu with Paul walking away, as smug as ever, and now we're cutting to a training scene.
It kind of sets up like the first half of this episode, I guess, where,
Mhm.
we've just come off of this battle with Paul, and Ash has seen him take out Roark's team with his like non-type advantage Pokemon. And
Mhm.
Ash is still very much caught up in thinking about this battle and thinking about like what happened in this battle that I just watched, and also the battle that I just lost, and like kind
Mhm.
of replaying and just like trying to address things retrospectively rather than thinking ahead of like how he should change to like adapt to the new situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. It really frames the mentality that Ash has as we just go directly from that battle into the training and immediately jump into this conversation, which I really like, where Dawn's like, "Hey, why don't you call home being Professor Oak's laboratory and ask to have some of your old Pokemon sent to you? Because like in the games, you can do that. You can just go up to your PC and get something else. You can even actually like maybe trade with yourself from a past game. But in the anime, I think this is one of the first times that this has come up for gym battles specifically. That someone suggests going and using your past Pokemon as a resource to take down a gym. What do you think about Don's suggestion there?
Yeah, I think it is the first time it is mentioned, at least in this season. I
Mhm.
think it's kind of interesting, um, kind of in a broader sense, that in these two episodes, I think we really see Dawn come into her own much more
Mhm.
as a trainer and like
Mhm.
showcase that she is like getting a much better understanding of Pokemon and training and battling, even though she's not doing the gyms herself. And I feel like her suggesting that is kind of a step towards pointing out that she like can think for herself and like
Mhm.
knows what's up a little bit. And I thought it was also kind of interesting that she was like, "Just borrow my Piplup,"
Yeah, she was
which
really
kind of surprised me. Like I thought Dawn would be, or at least like
Mhm.
understand that Ash would probably want to take down a gym with his own Pokemon. So that was kind of an interesting suggestion coming from her.
Right, I think I'm trying to think of Dawn's mentality here. In the simplest view of it, she's just trying to be helpful, and I wonder if she also just wants him to win so that he doesn't have to maybe feel the same like the added loss of not being able to do what Paul did in winning that first gym battle.
Totally. I think Dawn is just trying to be helpful.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what it seems like for sure. And I do like Ash's response there because he addresses yeah, he could do that, but he wants to do this using the team that he was already using for his battle. He doesn't want to, I guess, sideline them in a word where it's like, oh, you weren't good enough, but I'm gonna go get these other Pokemon. I think Ash is also showing that he's smart enough there to realize like, no, that's gonna hurt my friendship also with my Pokemon that I'm using.
Yeah, for sure. I think a running theme throughout this series is that Ash has like a lot of faith in his Pokemon, and he really believes in like taking the Pokemon you have and forging a bond with them, and like training them to be the best that they can, and like is very firm in the belief that no matter like where you start, you can
Mm-hmm.
achieve great things. So I think this is very in line with that.
And top of that, he also points out that Paul didn't win using a team of Pokemon that were necessarily good against rock types. There were actually two of them that he used that were bad, but he was still able to win anyway. So a lot of good layers in this opening conversation, I feel.
And also, I just want to point out a real cute moment where Baneri is clearly still in love with Pikachu and like goes up to Pikachu after training and is like, "You are amazing!" And I'm assuming that's what he was saying. And Pikachu's like, thanks, I guess."
Yeah.
Which was very cute to see.
Pikachu's definitely still trying to figure out how to react to this Baneri's affection, but adorable nonetheless.
Yeah, it's good.
After this, we see the team split up, with Dawn going back to the Pokemon Center and training on her own for a bit, which is where we learn about the next contest happening in Aroma Town. So that's just a kind of teaser for that. And then we cut to the museum, the Oreburgh Museum, which has had a break-in, which ended up in their restoration machine being stolen. And this thing is enormous. It's like maybe 3 stories tall. It's like a cylinder thing that was apparently just yanked out of this facility. But no other Pokemon were stolen until they realized that there was a Pokemon inside the machine, or a fossil specifically, that was being restored back into a Pokemon. And then this is when we learn that during the last episode, when Team Rocket was touring this place, they decided to concoct a plan and steal this machine. Somehow, I still don't really understand how they did it without like anyone
Very
noticing.
impressed that they managed to nick this thing. Like, I
Yeah,
did
because
not think that they were capable.
it's massive. So I'm like, how did you do this? But we find out that they have it, and they're planning to restore the fossils and make their army of fossil Pokemon, which, isn't the worst idea. Like, you're not stealing Pokemon, but you're using ancient Pokemon as your tools, and they're generally powerful and probably don't have like an attachment to any trainer because they're being like restored from thousands of years ago. So they might actually listen to you.
Yeah, one of Team Rocket's more competent plans, I would say.
Yeah. Though it does go a little weirier on the wayside because the fossil inside turns out to be an Aerodactyl and immediately knocks back Jessie's Pokeball when she tries to catch it. And then unleashes a move that we see a lot throughout this episode, which is Giga Impact. And it takes a while for James to go through his like cards, which is kind of like the old school Pokédex, I imagine. And that's where he finds out what move it's using, and it's mentioned like 3 or 4 times throughout this episode. But this is the debut of the move in Gen 4, so I guess that's why they're kind of like, hey, this is a new move. It's a cool move. It's a powerful move, kind of thing.
Yeah, for
But
sure. And I'll also just say when we get like that first shot of Aerodactyl like zoomed in on his face, I was like, "Oh, shiny Charizard!" But I was like, "Nope, nope, that's Aerodactyl."
that is true. The head does look kind of off.
Yeah, and it was like in the dark, so it looked kind of like black, dark gray. So I had like a
Mm.
moment of confusion there, but no, just Aerodactyl, no Charizard.
That does remind me of the question. If they have this technology, why are they able to bring back ancient Pokemon, but not modern day Pokemon that have been deceased? Did that
I'm
come to mind?
assuming it's like a fossil thing, you know? Like
Mm,
modern day Pokemon haven't been dead long enough to have fossils.
okay.
That's like my only lame explanation
Yeah,
for why.
and honestly, I couldn't tell you the difference between a fossil and just a regular skeleton, but I feel like there is one. So that might
Oh,
be
I'm sure there is one. I just don't know anything about it.
yeah, my paleontology days are behind me. Um, but then we again cut back to Ash training using Brock Sudowoodo, because specifically they're using Sudowoodo because Roark's Onyx at the gym has the ability Rockhead, which negates recoil damage. And Sudowoodo also has that ability. So the mentality here is like this is going to be a similar experience to Onyx, which I'm like, all right, like, that's a fine strategy. I don't think it's the best. I think the more sound logic is just, hey, this is another rock type, and it's going to be similar in terms of like attack and defense that Roark will be using at the gym.
Yeah, again, I think it's this like for now, this over focus on like exactly how the last battle went down and trying to like address the specific issues that came up in that battle rather than thinking more holistically about what
Yeah.
the right strategy might be.
Yeah, and that's also a cool moment where you see Ash thinking about that, how he's like, the Pokemon at the gym were fast and strong, and we're not going to win with just power alone, which I think is nice, where it's not just like the mentality of if we keep training and getting stronger, we'll win. It's more like we have to train, but we also have to think smarter about how we approach this problem.
I mean, you look at Ash's team, his Pokemon have a cumulative height of like 5 feet. So, I mean, he kind of has to go down that line of thinking.
Yeah, and maybe not even, honestly. I think they're each like maybe
Yeah,
like
he's trying to
14
take down
inches.
like this giant rock thing with
Yes.
a mouse. Like, what did you think was going to happen, Ash?
Yeah. I mean, he's done it before, but
That's true, but
the
still.
Cranidos, I think, seems to be the main issue for him.
Yeah.
So as they're trading, they find that, or Roark actually is the one who finds them there, and they're actually pretty supportive of Ash training. And it's like, oh yeah, good job, Ash. Like, keep training, don't train too hard, but I'm sure you'll be fine. And I was like, oh, that's nice. He's not being like, well, I mean, I expect him, I guess, to be mature, but sometimes they'll portray gym leaders as a little more antagonistic. So it's nice to have one that's more supportive.
Yeah, and I also liked Rourke's moment of real talk here where he was like, hang on a minute, Ash, like, who are you battling? Like, why do you keep talking about Paul? Why are you thinking about Paul? Like, think about your own team and how you're going to battle. And I feel like that was a good wake-up call for Ash.
Totally. Yeah, I think that being addressed is really nice, especially by someone who just battled Paul, so he also understands why Ash has it on the mind.
Yeah.
So it's also really cool that he brought that up to him, which is good. Um, and again, this episode has a lot of cuts back and forth, so apologies if that gets confusing. But we go back to Dawn training her Pokemon when Aerodactyl appears, and it just starts firing hyper beams all over the place. So I'm surprised already that this episode isn't called something Jurassic Park pun, but
Yeah.
there's like a ton of Pokemon now going around because it actually went over near the museum and destroyed part of the greenhouse area where a lot of the other ancient Pokemon are kept. And that means they're free and roaming about. Some people at the facility try to recall those Pokemon to their Pokeballs, but Aerodactyl gets in the way. And it actually goes into like a full like lockdown of the city with Officer Jenny in a helicopter telling people to stay inside and they have a plan to get all these Pokemon over to the mines and they're going to contain them over there. What did you think about this wild scene?
I feel like that escalated quickly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I kind of like that they're treating it somewhat realistically where like, oh, there's like a wild animal on the loose and it's also a dinosaur town, so everyone just like stay inside. um and we actually have a plan, which is kind of a cool thing because lots of times I feel like when there's some emergency event, they're all telling people like stay calm, but then they don't tell them like, oh, this is what we're gonna do to fix it. They just like assume they're gonna do it, but they never right out say like, oh, this is our going to going to be our approach to this.
Yeah, for sure. And I also liked how in Jenny's announcement, she was like, "Everyone, we have to like evacuate because there
Yeah.
are dinosaur Pokemon on the loose, and they are scaring people, which is why we should evacuate." And I was like, "Well, I mean, you're not wrong, but I don't think that's the primary reason we should all be, like running. But sure, Jenny, you go, girl."
It's not the mortal danger or, or physical harm that might come to you, but we do care for your emotional well-being.
Yeah, they
Let
know
that
where
be
it's at.
said about Oreburgh law enforcement, I guess.
Yeah.
But since we know that our heroes are at the mine with Rourke, This is where we cut to as the Pokemon are being chased over there, and the scientists are there as well. So they meet up, and Roark devises a quick plan to capture this Anorith and Kabutops specifically by having Sudowoodo and Pikachu try to distract them from one side, and Cranidos come in on the other, which seems to work. But then Team Rocket comes out of nowhere with a new machine and immediately grabs all three of the fossil Pokemon. So they have that Anorith, or it's Armaldo actually. Sorry, not Anorith. Uh, Armaldo, Kabutops, and Roark's Cranidos. So they're all now captured, and the machine that they have is actually pretty unique because generally lots of Team Rocket's machines I say are pretty generic, but this one is one that actually has a purpose because it's constructed around the fossil restoration machine. So it's kind of like a Mr. Potato Head scenario where they're using the base of the machine as the body and then attaching all these other things on the side, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, so again, I haven't really watched any of the anime other than this season, but in this season at least, Team Rocket is always coming through with some crazy machine or other, and maybe it's because I haven't seen like their previous ones, but I feel like there have been
Mhm.
some pretty wacky ones this season. Like they had that robot
Mhm.
house thing that was pretty crazy. Um, so like coming
Yeah.
through with this, I think was also kind of cool to see.
Yes, both of them were in some way themed around what they were trying to do or accomplish, which I do appreciate.
Yeah, for sure.
So their plan's actually not going too bad until an Aerodactyl appears, the one that they unleash themselves and causes a ruckus, makes them drop all the Pokemon. And this is where the scientists are able to come in and capture them back. But the Aerodactyl is still wild, so they don't have a Pokeball that they can return it to, and immediately goes in for a Giga Impact, which everyone again points out, and Brock is like, "Oh, that's a Giga Impact." And Cranidos tries to block it, but keeps getting pushed back, which ends up causing everyone to basically get launched into the air, and then Ash landing with Pikachu on the ground. And then Aerodactyl clearly hacking because Giga Impact is a two-turn move that it needs to make the user rest the second turn, comes back in with a Hyper Beam, and it looks like Ash is dead at this point.
Oh yeah, I like how he doesn't even try to run. He just like hunkers down with Pikachu and is like, "This is
Mhm.
it, buddy."
Nothing we can do here.
Yep. Until
Until the moment where we see Dawn just come in and save him with an Ice Beam from Baniri and a Bubble Beam from Piplup at the last second, and it's like, don't worry, guys, I'm here.
yes, this was awesome to see. Piplup coming in clutch with the bubble beam.
Mhm.
And again, this is I think really the moment where we're like, "Wow, Dawn can do stuff for herself. This is
Yeah.
amazing."
It's so refreshing to see because to me, Misty seems like the one companion that had the confidence, but for some reason was always downplayed in terms of her skill and ability. And then May was kind of on the opposite side where she didn't have the confidence and then sometimes would have like the ability to step up and save the day. But Dawn here clearly has it down. She's not even at episode 20. She hasn't won her first contest and it's like, I'm going to save these people from this dinosaur.
Yeah, and
uh
it's really fun. Again, like not we haven't really seen much of like coordinator
mm,
like life and battles aside from those one or two episodes where we saw Dawn's first contest, and it was really cool to see her like apply those in this situation and like have her cute little Pokemon doing their cute little like synchronized spins and pretty
yes.
moves and stuff, but also like totally tanking Aerodactyl in the process, which was really fun to see.
Exactly, yes, because that's what happens next is that she is waiting with her Pokemon as Aerodactyl goes in for a Giga Impact and tells him at the last second to spin, which causes them to avoid the attack by having like the momentum take them around the Aerodactyl on the other side. And then Piplup joins Baniri in a bounce to take down and ground the Aerodactyl enough for the scientists to step in and capture it.
Yeah,
So
I remember when we were watching that part, all three of us just like burst out laughing at that part, just seeing
yeah,
Piplup and Baniri like stomping on the back of this Aerodactyl. Such a sight to
very
see.
very similar to how she did it with the Glamio at the contest, but this
Yes.
time it's like a massive dinosaur, so the scale is just next level.
Yeah, it was real good though. And also I'll just note, again,
Mhm.
I watched these with like the closed captioning on, and I really enjoyed how when they're like soaring through the air and doing their spins, it's just like Piplup, pleased. And it's like, yes, I think pleased is the correct emotion for like this little penguin flying through the air and trying to take down this dinosaur.
Yeah,
It's
in a
just
moment that
pleased, not even like intense or like, like
focus.
effortful. It's just pleased.
Right. It's a great little like climax, but also kind of a comedic slash upbeat moment for them, which I think is kind of a cool way to present the solution to this big problem that's like plaguing the city and everything.
Yeah, for sure. It's fun.
Um, this means that they've captured all the fossil Pokemon, so all that's left is Team Rocket, who still has the restoration machine in their possession. Then it starts to take off once they see all the Pokemon are captured, and all that's left is Roark's Cranidos, who I think says something like, hand over the machine, losers. Like, he specifically says losers at
I
some
see. I
point.
didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah, and Team Rocket's mad. They're like, who does he think he is? Which I
That's
think
super
is
funny.
great. Yeah,
Yeah, I do
he
remember him being like, hand it over, and Rocket is like, no.
they're very indignant about this, even though they're the criminals.
Yeah.
But it does lead to a chase as they try to go in reverse in their machine. And Cranidos uses Pursuit, I'm assuming, which is a move we can learn to try and catch up with them. But they are able to shoot a net at it and slow it down. But as it's immobilized, Rourke tries motivating it, telling him, "You don't want to lose, right?" And this is enough to encourage Cranidos to evolve and use that to break out of the net as it becomes way too big to be captured. And that's the debut of Rampardos in the anime. I was kind of expecting this to be when Dawn steps in with the Pokédex, but that actually comes in later after all the crisis has been averted.
Yeah, although Dawn was very quick with her Pokedex,
Mhm.
back when the dinosaurs were all first released and there was an
Yeah.
Aerodactyl, and she like, as she's going down, like whips out the Pokedex and like gets her little blurb on Aerodactyl, in the midst of all the chaos. So I guess she wasn't quite as on the ball this time.
Yeah, I think that might be because she's just in the middle of the battle. She's like, okay, well, then I just had my moment with Piplup and
Yeah.
Baniri, so I'm just gonna hold off on this. As Rampardos jumps over to Team Rocket after, wait, was it? No, yeah, it jumps over to Team Rocket and digs its like T-Rex hands on the side of the machine and pulls out the fossil restoration part of it. So they get the machine back, and then Team Rocket is basically just in an empty shell of a robot. And Rampardos finishes them off with a Zen headbutt to save the day. So that's pretty much it there. Officer Jenny salutes Rampardos for its help, and then Ash says immediately to Rourke, actually, okay, now I really want to challenge you. Now he's hyped up when he sees this Pokemon evolve, apparently. And Rourke accepts, saying that it'll be its debut battle as a Rampardos. And then the episode finishes with Dawn, or with Ash asking Dawn to help him train for a battle, which she agrees to.
So Rampardos evolves, and Ash is like, "Woo! This is so exciting! I'm so excited!" And I'm like, I don't think that's the correct reaction, Ash, given that like it totally wiped the floor with you when it was still a Cranidos. So
Mhm.
good luck. But
This isn't making it easier, man. You gotta think this through.
Yep, and also at the end there when Jenny is like, "Woo, good job," and Brock is like going all gaga
No, yeah.
over Jenny again, and this like I feel like a lot of the time Krogunk lets this get pretty far, but this time like Brock got one sentence in and Krogunk like poison jabbed him and dragged him away, which is still my favorite thing ever to see. So that was fun.
Yes, we get all the beats in this episode, and it's done pretty well, I would say. I'm struggling what to give this. I want to say I would rate this episode maybe an 8. We're talking about Wild in the Streets episode 17. I think, like, I even forgot that, but you mentioned it, and then it's like, oh yeah, that also happened. Because it's just packed, and it doesn't feel forced in a way where it's like, oh, this is something on the side that they're doing. It's still related to the plot in like an indirect way, but one that I think is kind of neat for development of not just Ash, but Dawn too, in a pretty prominent way.
Gonna give this episode a 9. I really like this episode, and it just
Ooh,
had lots
okay.
of fun moments. Like there was the Baneri Pikachu cuteness, there was the Krogunk at the end. There was like some independence from our characters and like some good development from Dawn and from Ash, and also Piplup
Mhm.
saving the day with Baneri's help. But like Piplup really was the one carrying here, which I am always down for. So I really like this episode.
Was there some Piplup bias in there, given its moment to
No
shine
Piplup
here?
bias. I am
Oh,
a
okay.
completely unbiased third party here when it comes to
Oh,
Piplup.
okay, perfect. Good to know. Good to know. But yeah, overall, really strong episode, and not one that I would have expected to come right after the gym battle. And I think what I also like about it is that it really focuses on the main thing that Oreburgh City is known for, which is the mines and the fossil Pokemon. Um, so I think it accomplishes to still show off the city and town that it's based in a bit more than I was expecting, which I think is cool since we kind of leave Oreburgh City pretty quickly after this following episode. So getting this in there in a way that feels organic and ties the two together in terms of Ash's original gym battle and the rematch is a pretty good accomplishment, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. So does that bring us to the next episode?
It sure does, which is called Or the Rampardos We Watched. Basically, it's over the Rampardos we watched, but it's spelled in a way where it's like, oh, like
I just got that when you said it out loud. I
uh,
get it.
yes, it's very close to Over the Ramparts we watched, which anyone who's sung the anthem might know. But I still don't even know what that means completely. But let's
I'm
go.
Canadian, so I don't know what y'all are on
Oh,
about.
okay. Wait, where do you know that from? Over the Ramparts we watched.
I don't know. It just rings a bell. But also,
Okay.
I like the or like it sounds like Oreburgh. I don't know if that was
Yes.
intentional.
Oh, that's the
Yeah,
pun. I
yeah.
just got that.
There we go. We're there.
Okay. That's weird because I've never seen overspelled that way where it takes out the V and puts an apostrophe.
I
But
think it's like it's a thing in some old timey songs. Like I've definitely seen it
oh,
before. But yeah, that's
maybe.
fun.
Okay. Well, this episode 18's blurb reads Ash may have lost his battle at the Oreburgh gym, but he wants a rematch and he's down at the Oreburgh mine to train hard for round 2. Oh, wait, is this the right episode? Yeah. Okay. Uh his
And
hard
training
work
though, doesn't it? Doesn't it start with him in the gym?
it does. So let me see what I'm reading. Hold up.
Jeez,
Ash may
Will,
have lost.
prepare.
This is an error on the Bulbapedia.
Gasp.
Okay, well, interesting. Okay. So
Will,
basically,
live blurb, go.
we're at the gym and Ash is back for a rematch. That's literally the setup. And then what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The episode
basically,
is the battle at the gym. Is the TLDR on that?
yes, which is nice. If you watched the last episode, you're all good. You got it. It starts off with Roark sending out an Onyx, and Pikachu starts off with a quick attack. And
Wait! Before we
yes.
best moment of
Oh,
the
yes.
entire series so far happens,
Which should be in the
which is
blurb.
Dawn showing up in a cheerleader outfit with
Oh my
Piplup and
gosh.
Baneri with pom-poms, and they do a little cheer routine, and I died, and it was so good. Yeah, just Piplup
Yes.
with pom-poms is one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
And Baneri, which I think is adorable since it already has the fluff on its ears.
Yeah, they were a very cute trio. Cheer
Good
routine
cat.
and then quick attack. Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
get this battle started.
It starts off with a bag as Pikachu goes in for the quick attack and then climbs onto Onyx. Because it was planning to do that all along as Onyx goes for a slam. Onyx does manage to counter with a screech to try to get Pikachu to come off, but it does not work and starts trying to shake off Pikachu. But that gives it an opening to use Iron Tail, which is a super effective move against Onyx.
Yeah, and just before we keep on going, I
Yeah.
thought this setup was really interesting where Ash is like, okay, start with quick attack, and Roark is
Mhm.
like, why are you using a normal move against
Yeah.
my rock Pokemon? You're so dumb.
Mhm.
And Ash is like, just wait. And I thought that was it was reminiscent of Zoe, I think, using Shadow Claw in like the
Mm.
coordinator battles where everyone's like, why is she using a ghost type move against a normal type Pokemon? And she's like, just you wait. So I feel like yeah, there were a lot of moments in this battle slash I think it was kind of like a theme of this battle where there are a lot of callbacks to what we have learned so far about contests and like coordinator moves, and I saw a lot of that coming out in this battle, which was fun to see.
Yes, interesting callback there. I'm glad you brought that up because I totally missed that. But that's definitely something that you discover as you go through is that both sides actually have, I guess, cloaked intentions with maybe how they attack. And Ash especially is doing some of the strategy work here with using moves that aren't super effective to kind of get to his end goal here, which I think is neat. A good climax of what we've seen so far, like with Zoe, which I would have never compared her to, but you're totally right there.
So that happens, and then
Yeah.
as you were saying, there's this
Yes,
setup, and then continue on with your blow by blow of this battle.
sure. um, so it goes in for the Iron Tail, and although Onyx tries to stop Pikachu with a Screech, it gets knocked out with an Iron Tail, and that's the first round. Pikachu does kind of get thrashed about a bit when it's hanging on to Onyx. It's clearly tired, so Ash calls it back. But overall, a nice, smooth start for the most part, where we see the debut of Ash's new technique here, which was borrowed from Dawn, and that's the spin technique, as as it lets Pikachu kind of make up for the power difference by being able to still catch up in speed and effectively dodge moves that might otherwise hit it directly.
Yeah, so again, I feel like this is coordinator moves in action in a
Mhm.
gym battle, and we're really seeing, yeah, we're really highlighting this different aspect of battling or this different approach where you can take this stuff that is like maybe originally developed to be aesthetic, but can also be used very effectively in a gym battle.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a visual appeal to it, but there's also a practical use to these moves, which I think is kind of the pinnacle of a contest move, especially in the battle phase. And Ash is using that to as much as of an effect here as it might be in the actual contest.
Also, before we move to
Sure.
the next round, there was at one point when Onyx like gets a hit on Pikachu, and Roark is like, Ash, do you really think what do you think I'm doing in between battles? I don't just sit around and read comic books. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, can't relate. Can't relate, dude.
Yeah. Like, well, maybe you should, Rourke. Don't be a
Just
hater.
like chill a bit. And then also we also got another moment of Baneri love after Pikachu takes down Onyx, and Baneri is like
Hmm.
so wowed by this, which was
Number
another
one
great moment.
fan.
Oh yeah.
One thing that I did forget to mention, though, is that Onyx uses a move that was used against was used against Paul as well. Do you remember what move I might be talking about?
Is it Head Smash?
It is Stealth Rock.
Oh, Stealth Rock. Yeah.
Yes, which is a sneaky move that only damages Pokemon once they come onto the field. So if you switch out, you better get ready to take some damage there. And that's what happens as the Apom comes onto the field to face the Geodude. Now, there is also like a B plot in this episode of Team Rocket trying to sneak into the gym and steal some powerful Pokemon. Using Meowth's claws to lockpick the door. But just to wrap that whole thing up already, Krogunk somehow is outside its Pokeball with Brock in the stands and detects that something's going on, so it goes to investigate. And this leads to a confrontation between Krogunk and Team Rocket where it just it just intimidates them into walking back out of the building the same way they came in.
Yeah, a weird thing to throw into this episode. Like, I don't know if they just didn't think that there was like enough in the battle to carry the whole thing or what, but it was like super random. Like I hardly even caught like why Team Rocket was like around, and then suddenly Krogunk is like in this hallway, and I was like, how did we get here? Why are we here? Like, I want to see a monkey beat up a rock. Like, take me back. But yeah, this is like kind of, it just felt weirdly inserted into this episode.
I guess another little moment to show this weird Pokemon that has like some like funny moments, but overall doesn't really contribute too much. So that's why I kind of wanted to just cover it really quickly there.
That happens, and then we can get back to Apom, right?
Exactly, star of the show here. Well, my favorite Pokemon actually. Apom is taking on Geodude with a Swift to start, but Rollout counters it, and then it does miss, but hits a boulder instead, giving Apom enough time to use Double Team. So Apom goes in for a Focus Punch, which is a super effective move against a Rock type, but it's able to catch it in its hand in a cool shot with Apom in the air, going in for the punch, but not quite landing it. And this leads to a really sad seismic toss on Apom from the Geodude, as they soar into the air and crash back down, which we haven't seen in a while actually, because Charizard is probably the most prominent user of seismic toss, and Charizard did appear for a bit in Battle Frontier, but not since then.
Yeah, I have never seen Charizard use the seismic toss, so I have no bar, but it was a pretty sad looking seismic toss even without a bar.
Yeah, you'll see it if you keep watching the show in like Kanto and Johto. They do this whole dramatic thing of like Charizard like circling around the world in a symbolic way. So it's
great.
Yeah. But Apom is not out for the count yet. Yes. So Apom is not out yet, as it's able to use another Focus Punch and take out the Geodude, leaving Roark with 1 Pokemon left and Ash with 3. The two of them are probably at like 50% or less on health. But overall, pretty effective start to the battle on Ash's part.
Yeah, for sure. And also one other Pikachu. Oh wait, we haven't gotten there yet. Sorry. Foreshadowing. There's another cool Pikachu.
Foreshadowing. There we go. Now we have Apom taking on Roark's best Pokemon, as noted by Bulbapedia, so got that right. But and that would be Rampardos. So Apom uses Swift, but it's just not. It's like what's that supposed to do, Apom? Like nothing happens there. And with a headbutt knocks out Apom instantaneously, letting Ash bring out Pikachu. But it's able to dodge Pikachu's Thunderbolt and then goes in for a Zen Headbutt. This might be the moment you were talking about, Carina, with
Is this
Pikachu.
the moment where he somersaults over him?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Not yet.
Moment. It's coming.
Yes, it's coming. But Pikachu does try to spin and dodge it the same way that it was doing before with Onix, but the area of this attack is too big and it still gets damaged. It kind of grazed on the side. So kind of showing that even though they have the strat together, it's not going to work all the time.
Yeah, for sure. And it sets up the somersault that I'm really excited to get to, because that was cool. So, yeah.
Yes. Is it Pikachu or Turtwig that does that?
It's Pikachu that does it over
It is?
Rampardos, because like Pikachu is spinning to try to dodge the
Oh,
first
yeah.
attack, and then the next time he tries it, he like spins along a different axis, and everyone's like, "Whoa, he can like spin
You
via
can
somersault, and it still works."
you could spin multiple ways.
Yeah, 3 dimensions.
Uh,
Who'd have thought?
right? So as Pikachu goes in for a quick attack, it tries to dodge, or yeah, Rampardos is like going in for the headbutt, so Pikachu goes over, and as Karina was mentioning, starts spitting down, and is able to land an Iron Tail on it. Physical contact temporarily paralyzes Rampardos, but and that's because Pikachu has static, much like Elekid. But here, the anime kind of does its own interpretation of Rampardos' ability, which is Mold Breaker, and it says that's able to nullify the status condition using that. And that gives Rampardos a chance to hit Pikachu with a Zen Headbutt, making the battle 1-1 with Pikachu out, Apom out. All that Ash has left is Turtwig against this Rampardos.
Yep, ready for Turtwig to sweep here.
Yes, right. It's like it's either Piplup or Turtwig if you have one of these two starters in the game, and that's what Ash has left. So Turtwig comes in, and it rolls away from a headbutt from Rampardos, and is trying to actually like it goes in for a somersault, which I thought was what Pikachu did, and rolls on Rampardos' back, going down towards the tail. But before it's able to get knocked off the tail, it goes in for a bite and just grabs onto the Rampardos' tail, and then throws
Insane
it.
moment. Like
Yes.
Turtwig is so OP. Oh my gosh, just like chomping down on this dinosaur and throwing it with its teeth hanging onto its tail and just like tossing it across the room was
Yes.
pretty bonkers.
It showed reptilian superiority in this moment.
Maybe in this moment, but not in general, you know.
Yes, because
Birds are still where it's at. Piplup still has all my love.
well, Piplups a bird, right? So just in terms of a dinosaur versus this turtle reptilian.
Sure.
Okay. Then we get a Razor Leaf from Turtwig, which should be a super effective move here, but Rampardos' flamethrower is able to block it, burn it away.
Also, like, what the heck? Rampardos has flamethrower, and also Rampardos is only now pulling out its flamethrower. Like,
Well,
that was.
it did have it as a Cranidos, actually.
I did not notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I'm assuming Roark taught it as a defense.
Big brains from Roark.
Yeah, because it's like, well, I'm gonna face a grass type, most likely in this gym, since I'm rock type. So here we go with the counter to that, which is fire. Which is so smart on his part. But it does give Ash an idea as he starts just telling Turtwig to waste all his PP on this move of Razor Leaf to basically cover the field in burnt leaves because Rampardos keeps blocking it, and then all these burnt leaves are just kind of fluttering around, I guess, which lets
And there's
Turtwig.
this moment where Ash is like, "What should I do?" And then he's like, "Oh, I have this big brain strat," and he starts doing it, and like the theme song starts playing again in the background, which I thought was a weird choice. Like while we were watching this, I was like, Do I have a different tab open? Like, are they playing the theme song again?" So that was like kind of weird. Like I guess it kind of fits the vibe, but it was also just a strange choice of soundtrack, I feel like.
Yes, it was very like stereotypical anime where it's like hero has a moment, we play the theme song.
Yeah. So anyway, the theme song and like the diamond and pearl rap is going on under all of these razor leaves.
Yes. And apparently that's enough to get Turtwig close to Rampardos. And as it goes in for a Zen headbutt on the Turtwig, Turtwig's able to get away from it and roll underneath its opponent and then hit it with a Razor Leaf, knocking it out.
This was also insane because he's like,
Yeah.
Turtwig, like jump or something. And then Roark is like, oh, like you think you can get, or you're trying to get behind me. So he's like, Rampardos jump. And Turtwig is like, psych, and slides under Rampardos and does like this sick spin and then hits it from underneath, like right, razor leafs right to the belly. It was like a big big oof. But he won.
Yes, and that's the victory that Ash needs as they celebrate, and he earns his first gym battle in a very just like quick way. I think they're running out of time here because they're like, all right, here's the gym battle,
Yeah.
or here's the gym badge, you're good to go. And yeah, that marks the end of this episode and Ash's first gym in the Sinnoh League, which is the Coal Badge. So, what were your thoughts on this episode, episode 18 of Diamond and Pearl, or the over the Rampardos we watched?
I like this episode. Again, I really like this showcasing of coordinator or like contest-like
Mhm.
moves in battle, and I think a lot of these moves just looked really cool. Like all of the spins were fun to watch. So yeah, I liked all of that. I think I would give this episode an 8.5 out of 10. I still
Mhm.
really liked it, but I'm gonna take off half a point for the random rocket subplot that was happening, which was like, what is going on? But like that aside, I think it was a fun battle to watch.
So I gave the last episode an 8. I would probably give it. I'd probably give it an 8 too, honestly, because the previous episode did have a good amount of Team Rocket shenanigans, and sure, their plan was good, but in some ways it still took up, I think, more time than it needed to. And this one as well, because it had that little subplot there, which thought was like, you could leave this out and maybe focus a little more on the battle. I'll probably put it on the same par, just for slightly different reasons, though.
Fair. Also, going back to the random Krogunk Team Rocket subplot, there was a moment at the end where Brock turns to Krogunk and he's like, "Oh, like wasn't that a great battle?" And Krogunk's like, "Yep, I was totally here the whole time." And it's like,
Yes,
did nobody notice Krogunk like gone being a hero? Like, no one's gonna show
no,
any love for this weird frog thing. Like, okay,
Krogunk is the hero that needs no credit.
yeah, I'm
It's,
still waiting for his moment in the spotlight where he gets the recognition and love that he deserves.
yes, I think that's the running theme. I don't remember if he actually does get that recognition, honestly,
Oh, sad.
but it's kind of the fun of his character. I'd say it's just like this Pokemon that's kind of an oddball, saving the day in its own little way.
Yeah, for sure.
This wraps up pretty much this episode of Sights on Sinnoh, episode
And
Sights on Sinnoh, episode 10. Thank you. And yeah, I think it's a pretty solid first gym battle arc. Usually, like in terms of the first of these first 4 generations of the anime, I think Brock's is probably the one that's most iconic. The second one, I don't even remember how Ash took down Faulkner in Johto. Roxanne in the Hoenn region seemed like a decent battle. That's where Ash actually picked up Iron Tail for his Pikachu because he needed a move that was good against rock types. But this one just has a really unique tone to it because we also see his rival take on this gym leader, and we see how Ash recovers from his loss and then moves forward with it in his training and evolution to kind of conquer this challenge, which I think is a nice way of showing that he's an experienced trainer, but he still has a lot to learn and is going to adapt. He hasn't peaked as a trainer. He's not washed out. He still has a lot that can be improved on.
for sure. I have nothing to compare it to in terms of other gym battle arcs, but I think there was a solid amount of like character development happening both on Ash's end and also on Dawn's end, and then also really incorporating what's I think unique to this region in the contest and pulling that into the battles too. I think was really interesting.
Have you seen any? So is this the first time you've seen a gym battle in the anime?
I think I saw Ash get his first 2 or 3 badges in like Kanto.
Okay.
But he like hasn't actually earned any of them because all of those badges in that first series, he like just gets it for some other reason and ends up with the badge. So I haven't
Right.
seen him like properly take down a gym leader yet.
Yeah. This is probably one of the most proper defeats I've seen, and also victories for the gym leader as he took down Ash. And an interesting piece of trivia here: Roark's voice actor does come back in the anime, and he's voicing someone in the most current anime, actually.
Who's that?
It is someone else who does not like to lose.
Well, all right then. I guess we'll check back in like 4
Oh, no,
seasons and
that was supposed to be the clue, because it's Leon.
Oh, nay, that's cool.
Yeah, I found this out from Manny in their last episode, that the voice actor came back for this, which is awesome.
Kind of interesting because I feel like Roark has not monotone, but like monotone. He's like relatively not in a bad way. I feel like it's just his character that's like very like grounded and like collected, which probably is in line with him being like a rock type trainer.
Has that
And I
strong
feel like
foundation.
Leon would not be like that, so that's cool.
Yeah, I will say that some of his lines don't necessarily convince me that he's having a conversation with other characters sometimes. It does
Yeah.
kind of feel like he's maybe by himself, which of course is how lots of voice acting is done, but that might be the weakness that I see in this era of him. So I'm interested to now go and listen to the Pokemon Journey season and compare the two a little closer. But yes, this pretty much is the end here. So thanks, Carina, for joining, and I'm glad you got your first taste of a very epic first gym battle here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. I had a lot of fun watching these episodes, and talking about these last two. And also, thank you for assigning me the episode with Piplup and the pom poms. So much love for that moment.
Yes, I'm glad you enjoyed that. I didn't think that would be your takeaway, but I'm glad it is.
Definitely the highlight of these episodes of this whole season so far is Piplup and pom poms. It's pretty great.
I will say they return. That's
Amazing.
That's my little tidbit there for you to look forward for other episodes. I do wonder where she got this outfit, but we'll figure that out later.
Yeah, like didn't her mom take all of her clothes out of her suitcase? Like where did
I
this
don't know.
cheerleading outfit come from? But
Yeah, I
I
do
digress.
feel like there's no pom poms everywhere, but who knows? Coordinators have their ways.
Sure.
So yeah, that is the end of this episode of Sights on Sinnoh, episode 10. And Carina, where can people find you if they want to see your thoughts on other stuff or find you somewhere else on the internet?
You can find me on the internet at Pengumon everywhere. Pengumon.
Perfect. All right, and thanks to everyone who listened in to Sights on Sinnoh, the anime podcast about Diamond and Pearl. And hopefully you're excited as we are for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl now that we have this release date. We'll catch you later. Until next time, bye.
Bye.